What's up guys, welcome to the channel. My name is DJ Odyssey, and on today's video I'm going to show you guys how I made this Amapiano track, right? We're going to break this down, everything that I used on this song from start to finish, how I made this whole thing. So I'm just going to play it down for you so that you guys can know what I'm talking about, you know? So I'm just going to play it out a little bit, maybe from here. Okay, so I'm gonna stop it right here, and then so just wait until the end to hear the final track, right? So I'm gonna keep it as short as I can. So we're gonna start where, as usual, where there's like a lot of things, which is like the chorus part. And we're just gonna break this down very simple. Start with the drums. So when it comes to the drums, I used my Amapiano Essentials Sample Pack number 2, and I used Fruity Slicer. I took one of my drum loops from the pack, put it in here. It got sliced up into bits and bits. As you can hear, like these are bits. And then you enter the piano roll. Inside the piano roll, you just plotting the drums the way you feel like they're sounding dope, you know? So you can, you know, it should start with a kick, so you can look for a kick. You can hear, right? Now you can actually build from all these slices. For me, I came up with this. And after that, I had to add a shaker loop just to fill up the spaces in between. And then I had to do this. And from there, you have to find a fill. So with a fill, it sounds like this. Mind you, everything that I'm doing now comes from my sample pack, my Amapiano Essential Sample Pack 2. And I'm still running a discount in my store. If you head on to my store, you can find all these packs at discounted prices until month end. So make sure you visit my store for these. So now, the next thing that I had to add was some tom. And the tom itself is like this. And into the song, it sounds like this. And I had to add the rim shot, of course. And I had to add a hi-hat, but an open hat, which only moves like this. What I did also on the drums is every drum goes into the drum mix. Every one of these drums go into the drum mix. When you get in the drum mix, I had to add the CLA mix down. What the CLA mix down does is glue things together, right? So you can put it in the master, you can put it in the drums alone, you can put it in the synth alone, you can put it in the bass line alone, you know, just to make sure that it sounds more glued up into the mix. So with me, that's why the drums sound the way they sound. So you can increase your treble, your bass, the glue, more like your compression, and then the drive. you know. So I decreased the drive a bit, and then I glued them together, meaning like I did more compression into this. And then decrease some treble because I felt like the shakers were a bit loud, and then that's why we have something like this. Let me play without the CLA. And let's add it into the mix. So I don't know if you guys can really tell the difference, but I can actually tell the difference, you know. So now let's see what else can we get. So now let's get into the synth. So we start with the chords, right? I use Launch Lizard for these. It's the first preset inside Launch Lizard, nothing hectic. That's how the MIDI looks like. And inside this, you know, so there's a 40 parametric EQ, there's a limiter there, and there's some reverb onto this whole thing. So now, this is what happens. When it comes to the EQ, I had to cut off the low frequencies and some high frequencies. To get that set feel, sometimes you have to cut off the high frequencies so that it doesn't become too bright, right? That's number one. And the low frequencies, we're just making sure that the muddiness, nothing clashes with anything, especially the bass line. You want the bass line not to clash with anything. So that's the first reason for that. And then now you get to the limiter. With the limiter, more like compressor, I didn't use the limiter, I used the compressor on this one. You're trying to make sure that it has a constant sound, you know, because it's some chords that might play and go down. So you want it to have like a nice, very nice, constant sound. And then, so let me play it for you. So it compresses what's higher, and then it makes sure that it keeps everything that's low and keeps it up, because you had to put in the gain into this whole thing. And then you had to add some reverb just to give it more stereo wide feel with the reverb, right? And then number two, I had to add Poly 6, which on this, I had to do almost the same thing on Poly 6. But this time, I just cut off the low frequencies and I just put in the limiter or the compressor onto this whole thing. And then it sounds like this on Poly 6. And the chords is just the copy and paste of Launch Laser to this, and together it's all like this. And also, if you notice, what I did onto this whole thing is that I had to pan them a little bit so that they don't acquire the same space. So there's some stereo separation on both of them so that they can sound more stereo, more wider a little bit. And that's what I did with these two. And then the next thing that I added onto this whole thing is the saxophone from Contact. You know, I used a tenor sax, and then it sounds like this onto the song. All right, cool. That's the saxophone. And then you had to add in some delay and some reverb. So with these two, I just kept it like this. I kept it with some delay and some reverb. I didn't add too many things like compression or anything. I could do that, but I felt like I shouldn't do it right now. And then I had to add in Hive. Hive, I needed a plug, and it sounds like this. Also a lot of reverb onto Hive, and then some cutoffs, you know. For me, I was dealing with cutting off the highs and the lows. I didn't want this song to be too bright, by all means. So I cut off the high frequencies of the plug, and it sounded like that. I felt like it sounded dope. So I added some keys from Keyscape, Cinematic, and it sounds like this. Again, on this, the only thing I did was adding a lot of reverb onto the piano. And then from here, let's get into Purity. Used echo drops on Purity. And then they sound like this. Again, cut off the low frequencies and add a lot of reverb, you know, just needed it to sound the back as well. Then I didn't do much, and then also went into Machine from Citrus, and we have this. Don't forget to pan a little bit of your sounds, make sure that everyone occupies some space into the song, you know, in terms of panning. And number two, in terms of reverb as well for stereo wides, and then the volume, you know. I think these are some of the important things: the volume, the panning, and you can add in your effects, you know. EQing and compression as well are very important, you know. So, and then I had to go into Spire just to add in this lead. I didn't do much to it. I just added it, and then so I didn't want to do too much. And then now let's get into the bass line. So the first bass line from the song comes from Kepler. It's the bass guitar. It's guitar number 1, and it sounds like this. Sounds amazing. It looks like this. Nothing hectic. And then now let's get into what did I add onto it. So the EQ, I just cut it off a little bit. I cut off like the sub, more sub of it. Just cut it off a little bit, not too much. It's some things which you cannot really hear too much. And then the limiter, some compression. There was a frequency that I felt like every time it hits, it goes up. So I just needed to clean it up a little bit. You can see this little bit of just this little tiny bit of these frequencies that I was trying to cut off, so that it can become straight, you know. And then that's it. That's what I did. And then the log drum sounds like this. If you know the log drum, you know that you have to tweak it a little bit, you know. It's too bad I don't save these presets. I'm supposed to save these presets every time I create the log drum, but I didn't. Anyway, so again, I just decreased the init a little bit, put the time in the sustain at Kotatu, right? Like that. And then that's what happened. It's that simple. I increased the volume there. And then again, I had to put the limiter or compression basically. And I did that. I had to gain it a little bit because it was hitting and I didn't want it to hit with the highest tone. Just wanted to chop it up a little bit and it can hit like this. instead of like this, it becomes like this because this is cut. This has been cut off with the compression. Hope you get what I'm talking about. And then I had to add in a sub bass, play the same thing as the log drum, but there was some notes which I had to increase a little bit. So there was some notes which I had to move from the bottom, take them a higher octave so that they can sound like this. You can hear that, right? And also I had to add some compression onto the log drum. Nothing hectic, looks like this. Almost the same thing that I did to the bass line, you know? And then that's it with the song. I'm hoping that I get a vocalist to come and sing onto this, and then probably record the studio session as well with the vocalist, and then hopefully it will be a dope session as well. So thank you so much for getting this far into the video. I love you guys so much. I'll just try to play it from here, and I see you guys on my next tutorial when we do another thing. Let's play this.